Hello, this is Spirit Medium Laura, and welcome to the Law of Attraction Lesson 2 for the course Soul Alignment for Abundance and Mediumship, also known as Clairsentience for Mediumship. This particular course is based on the book Vision for Success with the Law of Attraction by Spirit Medium Laura, that's me. Which is in part a channeled work by the Alpha Omega Light Beings, which is the Great White Brotherhood of the Order of Melchizedek. So it has a lot to do with ascension energy and moving to a higher vibration so that manifesting becomes effortless as you live as your soul having a physical experience. And one of the premises of this particular material is to open your heart today to yourself and others. As you open, you will find that manifesting becomes automatic. So step 2, which is what we're on to now, or lesson 2, is open your soul's purpose, what you love to do, your desire and your dharma. The spiritual law of dharma comes from the Sanskrit word purpose in life. And usually one of the most important symptoms of living your purpose is that you're on point for feeling blissful, in love with life. When you feel in love with life, and in love with yourself for that matter, you will attract abundant experiences and abundance. This is important for people who want to do coaching and counseling with others, but it's also important for yourself to get yourself on point for your own life. This work aligns you with higher frequencies, and then life gets magical, which is kind of interesting. Some of you might have heard of Joseph Campbell, who's now in spirit. He's a famous mythologist, a PhD in comparative literature, and author of the book Power of Myth. And he writes a lot about this purpose and what it can do for you in your life. One of his quotes is, "Follow your bliss, and the universe will open doors for you where there were only walls." And so it's a magical thing. It's a magical thing. When you live in alignment with your soul, which is a non-resistant state, as we talked about in lesson 1 or step 1, we become able now to live as our authentic self. We open love, or we live in a state of love, which is the state of soul or spirit, passion, purpose, dharma. When we live in alignment with love, which is the highest frequency possible, we start to vibrate at a higher frequency, and then we get ready to embrace the flow of God, which is guidance, opportunities, and destiny. And I mentioned this in the first lesson, but it certainly can't hurt to mention again that some of the tools we use in this particular work are archetypes, affirmations, meditations, symbols, energy tools. We will be doing a complete clearing of blockages in step 3 and other principles. Okay, so this step or this lesson in part is about the spiritual law of dharma. And Deepak Chopra talks about this. Perhaps you might even say he created this law, but it does exist. He discovered it. Let's put it this way. He didn't create it. He discovered it. It's been there all along. I knew about it before I found his validation because the work was channeled to me, and then I found the validation. So if any of you are wondering where this all came from, it came from spirit through me, but it also is validated by other advanced light workers such as Deepak Chopra. So the spiritual law of dharma states the following: you have a unique talent and a unique way of expressing it. There is something that you can do better than anyone else in the world. Expressing your talents to fulfill needs creates unlimited wealth and abundance. And I say it this way: when you use your natural gifts and talents in service, prosperity will flow to you. You will be guided to opportunities as your destiny unfolds. There are 3 components to the law of dharma. We are on earth to discover our true self, okay, to express our unique talents. And when we do that, we feel that we enter into a timeless awareness. The now. You could say you're entering the now. You could also say you're living as a spiritual being, having a physical existence. One of the symptoms of living as a spiritual being, having a physical existence, is a sense of the now or timeless awareness. So if any of you do any kind of creative work, you know that when you enter into that creative state, you forget about time. You're just doing the work or doing the thing you love to do. The third component of Dharma is service to humanity. So there's always a service component. We're not here just to be consumers. We're here to give back as well. And I don't mean we all have to become Mother Teresa, but certainly when we start to find out what our gifts are and we start to serve from our gifts, we will feel life is very blissful. And we will live in the now in that sense of timeless awareness. And as well, things will sort of flow to us versus you trying to push things, you will be in a state of abundant flow. So Deepak Chopra says that you can manifest anything you want, all the affluence, money, and success you desire, and life will become more joyful and abundant if you live in accordance with the spiritual law of Dharma. And this is taken from the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. So I'm going to fill in a little bit more on this of how it's been channeled to me or what my own experience has given me as insight, that when you use your natural gifts and talents, you will be led. You'll get lucky. So whatever you want to attract in life, soulmate, money, health, if you get your Dharma right first, if you align with your soul and its plan for this lifetime, your magic will flow. You will enter a higher frequency where miracles are the norm. You're no longer limited by 3-dimensional reality. So if you ever wonder about that, wonder how to get yourself a little more lucky in life, think about what your service is, what your gifts are, and start to align with that. This lesson we will talk about that. So there's a couple characteristics of Dharma. One is that you may feel that you know it already. Okay. For example, when I've been studying or was, it's not an accident that I was born into a family where my father and mother were both metaphysicians. My mother really was into it and taught me at 12 years old how to use a metaphysic principle to bring in something I desired. And then my whole life I was reading books on the subject, studying it. And when I finally entered into the Center for Spiritual Living's 2-year training program, it was like I knew this stuff. I've always felt an affinity for this sort of thing, spiritual law. I couldn't get enough of it. I just loved it, and I had a deep knowing for it. I was even offered a scholarship to go on and become a practitioner in that particular school of thought. I decided not to do it because I felt there was something missing from what they were teaching, and now I know what it is. It's the soul. They kind of left that out. But your soul really has a purpose, and we shouldn't leave that out. We're all here to evolve spiritually, and our soul is like our do-good nature. It's the part of us that wants to be constructive, wants to evolve. So when you're doing your Dharma, you will feel blissful. You will feel timeless and peaceful. So that's another characteristic. And the third one is that you will feel attracted to it. Maybe it's something that you like or that you're very, very fascinated with. Maybe it might be a location or certain types of people. So just pay attention to how you feel, and you'll start to get keys to your Dharma. Another thing is, I thought I knew how to manifest, and I did for 3-dimensional energy or a karmic level way of looking at the world. That would be pre-ascension energy. And many of you have heard of the Ascension 2012, blah, blah, blah. I hate really to quote it because it sounds like a hackneyed phrase, but I do believe it has true significance, so I have to quote it. So, for example, when I was kind of lost because I'd worked my whole life using my ego to create opportunities and using what I thought was a law of attraction. And then after I achieved what I thought I wanted from a soul perspective, I discovered something. It wasn't a soul perspective. It was an ego perspective to make up for that which I lacked inside. In other words, the broken self, the dark side. We all have a dark side. We all have a side that feels not enough. And those were my goals. And I used manifesting principles to bring in money to make up for a sense of deficiency I had. And so all that fell away. And when it fell away, and I could no longer manifest the way I used to, I finally started to affirm I am using my natural gifts and talents in lucrative and productive service to others. As soon as I started to do that, the doors flung open. I was led. It was, I mean, up until then, nothing was happening. As soon as I started to affirm what my soul wanted, and what your soul wants is to use your natural gifts and talents in service. Okay? You're going to find you're led. If you're moving to a higher vibration, if you're on Earth this cycle, this incarnation, to ascend. I need to put that qualifier in because many of the people that are on Earth are at different vibrations. Some of us are still at karmic level thinking and karmic level experience. But many of us are working on a higher frequency where we're no longer limited by lack. Okay, we are being given the opportunity to vibrate at a higher frequency and to start to see more miracles on Earth. So when I started to affirm I'm using my natural gifts and talents and lucrative and productive service to others, I started to have the doors flying open. I was being led. I discovered that I should be doing spirit work or the work of spirit, and opportunities just presented to me. And it was natural for me. It fit me like a hand in glove. I'm like, oh, well, why didn't I know this before? I mean, I was channeling for 30 years already. Why wasn't I using it for others? I was only using it for myself. And then what happened is I became truly rich, truly wealthy, because I was no longer the poor girl with money, but now I was the rich woman with purpose. One other thing while I'm on this slide, as I use this affirmation with some people I know, some of them said, well, you shouldn't be asking to have lucrative work from your service, from your dharma, because we're all here on earth to serve, and asking for money is bad. No, I don't agree with that. Money is good. Money's good in any event. It's nothing evil about money in and of itself. It's what people do with money. And to ask to be paid in turn in a lucrative way for using your service is correct. If you don't ask to be paid, you're probably not going to get spiritual law to work for you, because we all need to have an energy exchange for spiritual law to work. So keep that in mind. All of you running around thinking or having guilt about being paid for your service, you won't be able to do your service if you don't get an exchange of energy or money for it. You will be blocked. And it also affects dharma, affects love. And my own sister had a very negative, I guess we call it negative, although everything really just is not good or bad. But when she was 20 years old, she met a man who she was getting ready to marry, or she was starting to think they would marry. And she was told by parental influence not to do so. So what happened is she finally found somebody to marry about 7 years later, and that guy passed away early. 10 years later, he passed away of a freak accident. She was left with 2 children to raise on her own, and she went through many a love affair attempting to find a harmonious love relationship. Finally, after a long lifetime, 37 Yeah, 37 years of being starved for love because none of those relationships worked out. Her husband passed away. She had to struggle monetarily raising 2 children on her own. Finally, at 57 years old, after her last relationship ended, she said to herself, I'm going to let go of this. I'm not going to try to find love anymore. Instead, I'm going to open to what I love to do, and I'm going to go out off and I'm going to do what I love to do. So what she started to do was dance. She liked to dance socially. And this allowed her to vibrate at a higher frequency, this pool of miracles, the school of miracles, if you will, where there are no limitations. And then she engaged in her magical flow, running into the man she was to marry 37 years earlier. And they married. They're now still happily married. I mean, relationships do have their ups and downs. I'm not saying every moment is ecstasy, but she's with her soulmate and they get along really as well as anybody ever could. And she's fulfilled herself in this area. So do you think this happened by accident? Do you think that my older sister, had this experience in front of me by accident? No, because my life was planned to experience and learn all this so that I could pass it on to others as I'm passing to you. So she really crystallized the whole system to me without her even knowing she was teaching me, the system of letting go. When she finally let go and stopped trying to find love on her own, just said, I'm going to just enjoy my life. I'm here, God. Find me if you got my soulmate. She didn't stop asking for what she wanted. That's when she was able to attain the right person. So when you're always racing around trying to control everything, you get in the way of spirit working for you. Here's another spiritual law. This is the spiritual law of desire. Ooh, that sounds juicy now, doesn't it? It supports the spiritual law of Dharma and the law of attraction. And listen to what Deepak Chopra says about this in the 7 spiritual laws of success. Desire in the field of pure potentiality has infinite organizing power. Infinite organizing power. Wow, I want some of that, don't you? So if you're not getting what you want, this is because you are needing something to complete yourself rather than desiring something just to be yourself. And in the example I just used of my sister, she felt like there was no love for her. So she kept wanting to find love. She kept racing around, trying to make it happen somehow. But when she just decided to be herself and let go, didn't mean she wasn't desiring what she wanted, but she just decided to let go of the process. That's when spirit was able to work for her. So if you're not getting what you want, it's because you're in need. You're not in desire. Which desire is a state of being yourself. It's a difference, very subtle. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the next couple of slides. So here is another way: need versus desire. So let's say you're out of work and you feel you need a job. If you don't get a job, you're not going to be able to pay your bills. You're not going to stay alive. It's an ego-oriented goal. And what happens is you continue to look for a job, this fear of not getting a job kind of creeps up on you, and guess what? You don't find a job. You get in your own way. Well, now let's look at what's really going on underneath the surface. What does this person really want or desire? The truth is boring, not fun. Rigid schedule and no time off to do other things. And you might think to yourself as I'm reading this off to you, well, how could that be? How could somebody need a job and yet get in their own way of getting a job because their subconscious belief systems is the job will be boring, not fun. It's going to make me have a rigid schedule. I won't have any time to do anything else I'd like to do. How could anybody be in that mode? Well, everybody's in that mode. We're always working against ourselves. And the reason is because we don't take the time to let go and then to open to what we truly desire, listening to our inner self. And let me tell you something, when you do that, when you finally move from need to want, which is desire, things are going to fall into place almost instantly. So in summary of this slide, you don't really desire a job if you're not getting one. You're thinking you need one, but you don't really want one. Okay? And need is coming from ego, which is fear, which is if I don't get that, I can't survive. On some level, I'm going to annihilate, or I won't have something I need. So need comes from scarcity, fear, ego. Okay, so let's take a little bit more of a look at this desire and wanting. So we're going to do a little bit of an exercise later on this, but I'm just going to preview it a little bit here. If you wanted, in this particular case of the job, let's say you wrote down what you really want. I really want a job, yeah, because I want money, but I want something that's fun, that's flexible, allows me time for leisure. So as soon as you start to listen to that part of yourself that's wanting what you might have already prejudged as impossible, that's when something happens. That's when spirit rushes in to help you, because your want, your desire is your soul, and your soul is supernatural. It has no limitations. It's just your ego and your human self that has limitations. Okay, so we are all being called to move from human to soul this lifetime as we ascend, and then we don't have limitations anymore. So these are the ways to do it. The secret is when you know what you really want, it attracts to you instantly. I'm going to say that again. When you know what you want, it attracts you instantly. And more often than not, we are blocking what we want because we don't believe it's possible. Because we don't believe it's possible. Do you believe it's possible to have work that pays well, that's fun, offers you flexible schedule and time for leisure? Well, you might think that that's impossible. I know when I lost most of my money, I was forced to go back to work. I believed I'd have to get a regular corporate job again, and I was frightened of that. I thought I would die if I had to go into that kind of work again. It never worked for me. It never was right for me. And then I was thinking I have to go back to that. Who would have ever thought that I would be doing work I enjoyed doing that offered me flexible schedule and time for leisure if I planned it? I'll be honest with you. I work a lot. I like to work because it is fun. So when you know what you want, if you start asking for what you want without belief systems that are limiting, it starts to come in for you. So it's kind of subtle. Okay, it's kind of subtle. But remember, wanting and desiring is extremely powerful. So now we're going to begin our exercises. If you're working on your own, you can do these exercises, and I will review that. If you're working in the group, which is the workshop, I will review how we'll do that as well. So what I'd like you all to do is get a pen and pad. The first thing we're going to do is take a little meditation, let go in meditation. Now, if you're working alone, you might be able to take a 10, 15-minute meditation, which is even better. But if we're working in the group, I want you all now to uncross your arms and legs and start to breathe from your abdominal area, allowing yourself to get very relaxed. Letting go of everything, realizing that you're in the moment now. And that moment is a great place to be. Well, to open intention for this session. Thank you, Infinite Spirit, for providing me a healing, releasing, and transformative session in highest love and light, and so it is. Now I'd like you all to vibrate in alignment with your guides. So imagine that you're sending out your energy to meet that of your spiritual guides and angels. So visualize your energy blending with the energy of your spiritual guides and angels. Good. And now we will engage this session. So awakening your awareness is key to seeing. So what I want you to do is I want you to do a little exercise that's going to help you awaken your awareness of the now. If you to get yourself a piece of paper and also take a pen in hand. And I'd like you to put that pen into the hand that is not dominant. So if you're right-handed, put it in your left hand. If you're left-handed, put it in your right hand. And then I'd like you to take a moment to write down, I am feeling how this feels right now. Wow. How did that feel? I mean, I'm trying to do it right now as I record this, and to be honest with you, I can hardly do it because I am so dominant to using one hand. Okay, and everything looks pretty messy right now as well, so I also feel a little bit, what's the word for it, fragile or ineffectual. But anyway, I'm doing it. Okay. Now later on we will discuss how this felt. So if you're in the live workshop, the playground, just make a note of how this feels on paper, please. Right now, you can use your dominant hand again. If you're working alone, you can discuss it with a friend, a coach, or a support group. At a later time, you can stop the video and do it. You can do this with a friend. So now we're going to learn about the real you. The real you is hidden behind things you like to do as a child. Okay? So I'd like you to take a moment to think about you as a child. Pick an age, maybe between 5 and 10 years old. And then start to think about the things you love to do in that age range. Much younger than that is going to be fairly generic. But 5 to 10 years old is pretty much who you are. Okay? So I'm going to be silent for a moment while you add in some names. Okay. Now I'd like you to think about which games did you absolutely adore the most? Maybe there might be 1 to 3 of them. Okay. And then I'd like you to write down 1 to 5 themes. One theme pretty much. I don't want you to give me too many, but for example, achievement might have been your theme. Okay. And if you're doing this on your own, you can stop the video. If you're in the work group, I'll give you a moment or two to do this. Okay. And I also want to say that in my own case, one of the things I love to do was play the game Play. Now, there's an ingenious little child. I like to put plays on in my backyard. And I love to take control of the situation. Okay, so I had leadership ability. I'd love to have creative license with the play. I like to write the play. I like to hire the actors. I like to do the marketing and the promotion. So I was pretty much putting on a show, okay, putting on a play. And it didn't matter so much what the message was of the play. It just mattered that I put on the play. I don't know why I like to do that, but I can tell you right now that a large part of the work I do now is putting on a play, because it's a communication activity where I produce the work, I promote the work, I market the work, and I'm in control of the message of the work. So I'm really doing that same game. I'm just doing it as an adult now. And when I had to work for a corporation, I couldn't do the whole game. I had to be under the umbrella of the corporation. And being a true leader was not allowed, even though they say they wanted it, it wasn't really allowed. So I like to work on my own and put on plays. There are a few other things. Oh yeah, there was another element to that play that is very relevant. I used to like to put on plays that were taken from my inspiration from fairy tales, metaphysic tales. Spirit, like for example, in the kingdom, and there was a frog, and somebody ate the frog, and whatever, that kind of a thing. So I was putting on metaphysic stories. when I put my plays together. And that's another key component. So therefore, today in my life now, I am playing play. I am a communicator. I do the work, though, which is a little different than when I was younger. I didn't want to actually be the actor. I wanted to create the content and create the whole thing. But I do that now. And I am now doing the same thing I did as a child. So I'd like you, if you're doing this on your own, to stop your video and do this exercise. If you're working in the workshop, I will give you a moment to do this. And so what do you want now? When I was doing a radio show version of this, I did this exercise, and I'm going to do it now with you. So I'd like you to take out your pen and paper and write down 1 to 5 things you hate in your life right now. What do you hate? Hate being kept up all night with the baby crying? You hate your boss when he yells at you? You hate not having enough money to pay your bills? You hate not having a love of your life in your life? Write down these things. Good. And now what I'd like you to do is to write down the opposite of this. For example, if you hate working so many hours in your job, what you want is to work less hours and get paid more. Wow, how does that feel when you finally say what you want? Feels good, doesn't it? Again, one of the reasons we're not getting what we want is because we never allow ourselves to think it's possible nor state what we want. And if we're in the workshop, the playground, we will discuss this at the end. If you're taking this course on your own, just discuss with a friend, coach, or support group. So what do you want right now? Start with what you don't like. State the opposite. See how that feels. And remind yourself, if you're not getting what you want, it's because you're not letting yourself feel it. You're not letting yourself say it. You're not even giving audience to it. You just believe you can't get what you want. What a defeatist thing that is to believe, right? And so let's now create an I want affirmation mantra. Mantra is something you repeat over and over and over again during meditation. It helps to focus the mind. But think of this, if you were to put an affirmation into your meditation mantra, how powerful that is. Wow. So let's say that we're paid for fun and play from the previous slide. Our discovery was we really want to make more money for less time, or we want to get paid to have fun and play. And it sounds silly, right? Oh, how could I get paid to have fun and play? Well, you can get paid to have fun and play. Most entertainers do. Okay. And I actually am sort of getting paid also for fun and play. Okay. So I want you to create your I want affirmation right now based on what you don't like that was on the previous slide. Go ahead and write it down. Good. And now I'd like you to say that 3 times to yourself. Great. How does that feel? Does that feel good? If you're working on your own, discuss this with a friend, coach, or support group. If you're working in the playground, we will discuss this at the end. Okay, so we're now, we can now use this in meditation. I'm just going to introduce this to you. You'll need to stop the video to do it on your own, or the workshop facilitator, the playground facilitator can do it with you at this moment for a little bit of time. So we're now going to take our affirmation. I am paid for fun and play, or whatever yours is. Okay. I am the work I love to do. I am the work I love to do. I am engaged to the love of my life, or I am married to the love of my life. Whatever yours is. I'd like you to get comfortable, close your eyes, and I'd like you to look at the vision field behind your eyes. Okay, notice all the floaters in there and what you see. Then I'd like you to draw your attention to your breath from your abdominal area. Pay attention to how that feels. Breathing in slowly, breathing out slowly. So I'd like you to silently now repeat your affirmation as a mantra over and over. I am, fill in the blanks. Very good. Now, if you're on your own doing this alone, you can stop the video and do this for 5 minutes or so. If you're in the workshop, the facilitator will decide how long that happens, and we will continue now. We are going to now access soul archetypes. Okay? And our soul's archetype is very much related to our Dharma, the work we've come to Earth to do. In Jungian terminology, an archetype, a soul archetype, is the basic 12 personality types. So these archetypes are based on 12 basic personality types. And you as a soul plan to be one of them before you came to Earth so that you could complete and express your Dharma. Okay? Very exciting to think that you can pick a number from 1 through 12 in a very relaxed state of mind, of course, and that you're going to pick your Dharma archetype. Now, we will reveal and review this later in the workshop, and if you're working on your own, you can discuss this with a friend, coach, or support group. Okay? But what I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to just listen to me reading off numbers 1 through 12, getting ready, preparing yourself, because one of those numbers is going to light up in front of you. So close your eyes, and cross your arms and legs. Breathe again from your abdominal area. As I read off the numbers, get ready to write down the one. There should only be one, and there will only be one that will pop out at you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Good. Don't change your mind. Don't second guess yourself. Just write down the one number that popped out at you from 1 through 12. Good. And on the next slide, there will be a corresponding affirmation to your Dharma archetype. You're going to see what they mean also. Again, if you're working on your own, you can discuss your findings with a friend, coach, or support group. In the workshop, the playground, we will discuss this at the end. Okay, so here are the archetypes and their definition. This is slide 23 of the full presentation, so if you ever need to come back here and look them over again, the definitions, you can. But the innocent is number 1. That's somebody who's very traditional. And, as I go through these, you probably say, yeah, I know somebody like that. Or if it's you, hopefully you see yourself in that. But there is somebody that I know who's a traditionalist, remains loyal and maintains faith in simple ways, simple values and virtues. And that person's affirmation, if they were trying to align more with their true nature and self, is I am faith. And then there's every person that's a egalitarian, communitarian. Seeks and builds community in all situations. Then there's the hero. That's a crusader rescuer. Emphasizes making a difference for others. Affirmation, I am heroic. The caregiver or nurturer. Well, we all know a caregiver type. There's so many of them. But you can imagine being forced to be a caretaker when you really are a revolutionary, which is number 7. But anyway, if your true archetype is a caregiver, that's your true purpose. That's your true nature. The affirmation for that is I am kindness. When you align with your true nature, your miracles begin. The explorer, the adventurer, emphasizes adventure and or new experiences. I am adventure. Now, could you imagine if you were born to be the adventurer, the explorer, and you were born into a family that's very traditional? Everybody's just taking things as they come, according to the status quo. You'd feel frustrated now, wouldn't you? Okay. So one of the things I'm trying to show you in this course is that when you align with your true self, your true nature, then you're going to find you don't have to be resisting anything because you're in alignment. It's like getting the right pair of shoes that fit you versus trying to break in a pair of shoes that never fit you right. Being yourself is very powerful. Number 6, lover. It's a harmonizer. Ensures relationships are harmonious and pleasurable. Affirmation, I am harmony. Number 7, revolutionary, game changer. Okay, initiates radical innovations that change the rules of the game or the realities of the marketplace. I am change is the affirmation. The creator is the artisan. I am creativity. The magician is the healer. Likes to see transformation, affects individual group healing. I am shift. Number 10 is the ruler. Leader takes charge of people, situations, takes responsibility for the good of others. I am leadership. Number 11 is the sage, the expert, the guru. Develops their knowledge and expertise to the highest level. I am wisdom. And then 12 is the jester. That's somebody who likes to entertain, helps others have fun or good time. And that would be I am laughter. Now, some of us can be a combination of these. I don't want you to get too hung up on it, but I just want you to get the idea that if your basic nature is one thing, and your soul set up a lifetime to challenge that, maybe your family's values are different than what you really are, you're going to find that you're going to be thwarted in your progress, evolution, abundance on earth until you finally align with your true nature, letting go of resistance to what you don't want and aligning with what you do like, love, and want. It's a very, very simple concept, but a very powerful one. So now I'd like you to use your Dharma affirmation as a mantra. We're just going to do that for a moment if we're in the live workshop, and if we're alone, we can do this 5 minutes after stopping the video. I'd like you to get comfortable. Close your eyes, focus on the vision field behind your eyes as you breathe from your abdominal area. Don't forget to uncross your arms and legs. Good. And now I'd like you to repeat your affirmation over and over again. I am love, or I am fun, whatever yours is. The facilitator can allow this to go on as long as he or she wants in the live workshop, and alone, this can be done for a period of time that's longer. Okay, and so for homework for this material, you can listen to the introductory workshop, and there's a hot link in the presentation. The presentation exists at spiritmediumlaura.com/capital L, capital O, capital A, -2 dot lowercase PDF. The video of this presentation has all of the links in it. The link for the introductory workshop, the link for the presentation for this video, as well as the ebook. Okay, and what I'd like you to do, if you're doing this on your own or if you're doing this in a group setting, is a mindful meditation, repeating your I want affirmation each day. And I'd like you also to do some I want journaling. Keep writing about things that you don't like in your life, turning them into things you do like, and refining them until you have many pure I want mantras. And use them. Just keep using your I want mantras every day as I am. So I am love if you want love. I am money and success if you want money. Okay? And next week's class will be on setting your vibration, and that's the next installment of the self-paced videos as well. And now what we're going to do is, if we're in the workshop, Many of you that are listening to this are doing it on your own, but if you're in the live workshop, the facilitator will ask each student the following questions. How did it feel to write from your opposite hand? What 5 to 10 things did you love to play as a child? And find the theme of your play. What 5 to 10 things do you hate in your life now? Discover the top thing or identify the top thing. What's the opposite of this? And then this would be your I want affirmation. Get your affirmation from this. I'm paid for fun and play, for example. I'd like each of the students to express how it felt to say what they really want. And then we're going to go into the soul archetypes, see what each workshop attendee chose as their soul archetype. And we'll discuss that, correct it if needed, and then review the affirmation for that archetype. I want to thank everybody for attending this video workshop, and I look forward to doing this again with you later. This is Spirit Medium Laura. My website is spiritmediumlaura.com. Namaste.